Oh, hi, everybody. I was trying to get ahead of the recording, but Jeffrey is just so prompt down there that I wanted to do the announcement, but at a time when they could record it separately. So then we can just hit a button, and then every time you have a meeting, it could just play up on the screen about what to do when the alarm goes off. But I didn't talk to these guys about that, and they can't read my mind. So, what do we do if the alarm goes off? Okay. Um, I'm actually going to go first today. I don't usually, but it's my prerogative. So we're gonna have our management Q&A today. I want to just talk about a couple of random things. So I'm playing a few people's hats. Uh, Terrell, our IT manager, has been working with Tyler from Tom's department. You may have seen the two of them around out in the front over the last couple of days with ladders and blah, blah. It's because we are trialing a cell phone signal booster. Uh, ah, the meeting is adjourned. Um, so many of you know that this building and its location, both the construction of the building and the location on North Putt leave us with very challenging cell phone service in some locations, except for right there. The booster worked. So Terrell has identified a possible way to pull the existing signal from the sky and boost it. We're going to be trialing it along with all of the EMFs that will go along with it in the lobby area. It's just an alien reference. So we don't know exactly when it's going to be ready, probably tomorrow or the next day. And I don't entirely know what it's going to do. It's really just we're trialing this. These things are used at locations like this that don't have great cell service. If it does provide a boost, it only provides a coverage for a certain number of square feet. So we would put multiple in different places. So stay tuned on that. The next thing I wanted to talk about, and this is with Philip's hat on, and ties into the sort of increased renewal that we're doing in independent living related to if you want to have a DNR sticker, what you have to do, and all of that. So you guys have heard this from me a couple of times now. If you have questions about that process, we can go over it another time, or you can ask me when the mic gets passed. But basically, because we're giving you now a mechanism to identify if you have a DNR on your badge, it always raises, anytime we talk about this, it raises an opportunity for us to talk about what can we do to strengthen procedures. So last week, for the first time, we held 2 code blue drills in the health center. Now, all of our staff in the health center, well, all the clinical staff are required to be CPR certified, and they have to be retrained on that, and they have to complete annual competencies. But we've only ever had 2 codes in 15 years in this building, where residents that had a full code status, wanted to be resuscitated, were found unconscious and unresponsive in the health center. We've had a couple that have happened in independent living, but not where CPR was initiated. So in all the years that we've been here, there's been 2 incidents. And when you don't use a skill, even if you're trained on it, you get rusty. So it was great. We expected that there were going to be some bumps, and there were. Some of the staff didn't know where our AEDs were because they don't use them, even though they walk past them every day and the signs are there and we announced it. Some weren't sure that, our protocols said that before the AED is implemented, somebody in the room has to take charge and say, does everybody have their hands off of the person before you shock them? Because if you put the AEDs on and you have your hands on them, you can get a shock. So these are things that you learn during your training, but we haven't done a drill on it. So it's extremely beneficial. We did one unannounced. We did one on skilled and one in assisted living, actually in the great room. And in that case in particular, we used the resuscitation mannequin starting in a wheelchair. And in the other one, they started in a bed. So we actually have purchased a year or so ago, we hired a new nurse educator. And when we did, we decided that we wanted to have her be trained not only in CPR, but to be a CPR certifier herself. So she can train people that want to learn CPR. She obviously does the staff certifications and so forth. But when we did that, we also upgraded our resuscitation mannequins. And they're the ones that tell you if you're, first of all, if you're doing the compressions correctly or not. So you have to go down deep enough. They're the full, so it's really good. It was an excellent exercise for the staff. Those kinds of things, surprisingly, are not required by DOH. We have a million drills we have to do, fire drills and checking the generator and all kinds of things. But that particular one is not required. But I'm really glad that we did it. And we came out with some training opportunities for staff. Rob's going to be purchasing some new crash carts for us. We do have crash carts in the health center, which basically has all the equipment that you need for suctioning and stethoscopes and whatever else they need. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Vital signs, but some of the things, like, for example, there's extension cord on it, for example, and those tend to walk away on the carts that we had. So our director of nursing asked us if we could purchase lockable, I think they're lockable drawers and stuff, right? Okay, so it's the kind of lock that you can just, it's not a lock where you need a key, but basically you'll be able to tell if it was compromised. So you basically put all your things in that you want, and then it's like a seal, like almost like a seal lock. And then it would have to be replaced if they ever had to do a code or after they check the inventory. So I just want you to know, these are the kinds of things that we will do when we see fit. And it was a really good exercise. I think I like drills when we find that there are opportunities for us. I'd rather figure it out during a drill. Let's see. Oh, Thursday and Friday, we're going to be doing the interviews for the top 3 GM candidates for dining. So for Amy's replacement. So Sodexo actually received over 15 applications so far. We knew it was going to be a popular position because we did achieve the Sodexo showcase status. And this is the kind of account that experienced general managers want to be at. It's a beautiful facility. It's a showcase account. So they did receive over 15 applications. They winnowed it down to the current top 3 based on preliminary interviews and CVs. So typical to what we've done each time this position has turned over, Sodexo does their first rounds of interviews. Then they meet with the 3 candidates will meet with our executive team, which is me and the leadership. And then they will actually also be meeting with representatives from the dining committee. Residents should have a role in making the selection. And we've used the dining committee in the past very successfully for this. So that's what's going to happen Thursday for the first candidate and 2 on Friday. And I'm hoping that after all of this, we have a candidate selected. So that actually happened really quickly, and I'm thrilled about that. I don't have anything else to say. I would like to take some questions or comments before I move the mic around, if anybody has anything on any topic for me.
Hi, will Jared and Tanya have input into the selection of the person who is hired?
So all of the exec team will. So that's obviously very important. And Jared's on the exec team. So, I mean, I don't know the extent to which Tanya will. Normally, we don't necessarily take the folks that will be reporting to the person. We always take the colleagues and the boss, but we'll see how far it goes. Well, I know, but there's lots and lots of people that report to that person. So we have to limit it somewhere, and we have to kind of not put them totally through the ringer. So, we'll get 7 or 8 staff members involved and go from there. And if it's close, we'll take it to where we need to.
Well, you put the 4:00 discussion the other day on YouTube.
No. We can possibly get it to you if the only option that you have is email. We also could re-air it, but I know you guys don't have TV. Oh, we could think about re-airing it, but that's not the kind of content that I think we want out, for the public. I think there might be a way to do it securely, but it gets complicated with encryption and things like that. Some conversations are just for us to have. And I think that's one of them. Yeah, we can talk to Jason and figure out an option to get it to a resident. I have no issue with that at all. And we can re-air it.
Oh, your comment about the phone coverage. Now, my phone connects through Wi-Fi, and I never had a problem with reception or dropping out or anything like that. But I do have to make sure if I'm wandering about the buildings to connect to the patrons' internet Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
And then the cell phone works just fine.
Yeah. Some people are very successful with Wi-Fi calling, depending on their phone, make and model.
That's what I don't know. I don't know if
different for
other
everybody.
phones can do that. Yeah.
Some do. And we can talk about that. I know actually, I forgot one thing Terrell asked me to mention. He did say that there was a survey that went out to residents. Lindsay, was that in constant contact about your interests in understanding more about things from a tech perspective? Because he's planning on putting one or more tech meetings together. So, certainly certain people need just basic, how do I use my iPhone? How do I use my smartphone? So thank you for reminding me. So please fill out those surveys because we want to customize that to your needs. And Terrell is interested in getting that feedback. Also to Betsy and Joe's point, there's one thing I forgot to tell myself, which is that Tom and I met yesterday, Tom Gilder and I, to recap on Monday's meeting. Obviously, I thought a lot about it afterwards, continued to think about it on Tuesday. And one of the things that's very important to me is to figure out how, for those residents that are interested in continuing a dialogue, how we can make that happen in the best Woodland Pond way. So immediately, because we don't have anything else to suggest right this second, it sounds like from Jeffrey that the current events group seems to be covering this in a very collegial way, and other topics. So I would encourage you to go to current events. It's on the calendar. In the meantime, what we are investigating and considering is opportunities to bring in outside mediators for discussion. There's already been some discussion with some residents that have some familiarity with people that they can recommend to us to allow for facilitated, respectful conversation. I think it's very important, and Tom agreed. I'm sure you all do too. Although some residents have offered to do it, I think it's better if it's a third party. The next step in the planning for this is I will be asking Lindsay to schedule a meeting with myself, the Mental Health and Wellness Committee, the Steering Committee, the Residents Council, and the Political Affairs Committee for us to collectively talk about what we envision for this, because I do think that there's a mental health and wellness component to all of this. I think there's a resident council component, and I think that there's a political affairs component. So that will be the next meeting in anticipation of figuring out how do we do this. Jakob, did you have a comment? Hold on a second. Nobody can hear you.
For people that don't follow the calendar, Wednesdays at 4:00 is the current events. So in about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And most likely this is going to be addressed, or to some extent. We don't know yet because the topic planned for that was not that, was about economic issues. But I mean, sometimes when something happens, we push the calendar forward.
Because you want to keep current. You're doing your job. We appreciate that. Margaret?
Yes, getting back to the dining manager, there are 2 members from the Health Center Committee on the dining committee. I would respectfully suggest that one of those is there, but so that they can watch out for the interest of the health center.
Yeah, I know Joan gave Lindsay a list. I don't know if those invitations have gone out yet, but they haven't gone out yet. Lindsay's saying this all just came to be, and we understand it's short notice, but we'll get as many people as we can. But Lindsay, make sure that those 2 are both on the list, please. And those will be in the classroom tomorrow afternoon, I think around 1:30 for the one candidate, and then like 9:30 and like 11 o'clock on Friday morning. If you can't make all of them, That's okay. We've got lots of people that are going to meet, but time is of the essence here. Jason's got another question.
Michelle, does Woodland Pond receive any financial state or federal assistance in its operation, including tax exemption?
So we are a tax exempt entity by virtue of being a 501c3, which normally would give us a real property tax exemption, and it does. But we negotiated a payment in lieu of taxes voluntarily, although we don't have to do it. We make a payment in lieu of taxes to the school district, the fire department, the police, blah, blah, blah. We did that voluntarily, and it's around $1 million a year right now. It goes up $50,000 every year for 20 years. And we'll cap out at about $1.5 million at the 20-year mark. And then that exemption will go away because it's only available to you the first time. So although we will maintain our 501c3 status, our real property tax exemption will go away after this first pilot. I mean, it still doesn't exist, but the pilot will expire at the 20th year of opening. But that's it, though. Nothing else. We don't get subsidy from anything else. All right. Well, since they're snoozing, Bridget, would you like to go next?
Hey, everybody. I'm Bridget Blum, Director of Human Resources and Corporate Compliance. I want to thank you all for your participation in Senior Living Week. As you know, this was the first time that we made the raffles available to the residents, and you all were such a big help and contributor to the employee raffle, which raised a tremendous amount for the Employee Cares Fund. So thank you again for that. And a good number of residents won. So that was also wonderful. I think 3 of the raffle baskets, we had an 8 basket total this year, and 3 of them were won by residents. So I really want to thank you for your participation in the raffles and in the bake sale. I know that it really helped with the fundraising for that. That really is all that I have. We are really working hard on our recruitment and filling open positions just constantly. Nora is busy. I know many of you stop by and say hello to her. You really make her day and have helped her to feel welcome. She's been here for just over 3 months now, and you really made her feel a part of the team. Nora, who's the recruitment coordinator, she sits in the cross hall between South and Central Wing. So, you know, many of you have made her feel welcome. But other than that, that's all I have. If anyone has any questions, just go ahead and raise your hand. Otherwise, I'm going to pass it on to the folks that you really want to talk to, Rob and Tom. And then, of course, Dave, who's sitting there very eager to talk to you. No? Good. All right, Tom. Come on up.
All right. I am Tom Tango, Director of Plant Operations. Jason, you got the pictures ready? What I'll talk about a bit is the Big Dig. Those of you that live out in the cottages, you're probably aware that we are doing a lot of work out behind the cottages, and I'll explain to you what that is. When it rains, all the storm water that hits the ground, that hits the building, hits the road, it all goes through the stormwater pipes, through the stormwater drainage system. And when it goes into those pipes, anywhere on the whole facility, it's all routed right by Cynthia Lee's house in a pipe under the ground. And it leaves there and it goes down to the retention pond. So right about, there's Cynthia's house, and right about here, there is a big concrete chamber that the pipe goes to, And then the water goes in that chamber and it goes into another 4-foot pipe. The excavating company that is doing the work for the trail improvement, while they were doing that work, they saw a little washout on the side of the hill, like a washout where it looked like some water washed the dirt away. They walked over by it. They walked up a little further. They found a little bigger washout. They walked up a little further and found a great big washout. And then they called us. The pipe that goes from that Cynthia Lee's house is right about over here. And the pipe that goes from that concrete, Jason, the pipe that goes from that concrete structure to the other concrete structure, it was crushed and water would leak out of it. And when it leaked out of it, it would wash the hill away. If this company, the contractors, hadn't have found that washout, a few months from now, a year or so from now, Cynthia Lee would have a house down by the retention pond. So it was very good that we found it. Or what would have happened is, bit by bit, the fence, like the dirt would have gone washed away, the fences would have started falling down. Right. And then, but then we'd be doing the same work, but in a much bigger hurry. So it was really fortunate for everyone that these guys happened to find this. And so as soon as it was discovered, we contacted our civil engineer. Civil engineer is the type of engineer that does this exact work, because this is pretty serious. We wanted to fully identify what the problem was, fully identify what the solution is, and make sure that Cynthia Lee's house stays there, and that all the dirt gets put back the right way. So our engineer came, took a look at it with the civil engineer, along with myself and the excavating company. We came out with a great solution, and the system is being repaired as it always was. Nothing is being changed. Nothing is being altered, but it's just going to go back and put back in the very proper, correct way. And it'll be, when it's all done, it'll sort of look just like it always did. That pipe that is 4-foot diameter, and it's 120 feet long. It's 20 feet deep. That's a lot of digging, a lot of dirt, and a lot of money. So it's all going back in the right now. There's no work today, next couple of days. That big concrete, because this big concrete cylinder, this chamber, this had to get replaced too. It was cracked and it was put in a little crooked. So that comes Tuesday. So until Tuesday, there won't be any digging out there. There won't be anybody there. But Monday or Tuesday, they'll show back up. And then, yeah, keep showing pictures. And then once that work is done, we'll continue again on the trail improvement. The trail improvement is only half done. And like that half isn't completely done. But we need to square this away first before we continue the trail. That last picture, yeah, this piece will stay. This piece won't. But right now, what's there right now is this piece goes to a hill with some plastic and some rock. Because at the direction of the engineer, they did that while waiting for the other piece. Because if it rains right now, that water has to go somewhere right now. So it's not in the picture, but at the end of this, like they put a big piece of plastic with some rock on it. Right. So it runs down. So that's what's currently happening with the big dig.
The big dig will happen now.
Do you have any idea what crushed the original pipe, and how can you be sure it won't happen again?
We only have guesses. No one has 100% positive. It could be a number of things. It could be it was a bad pipe. It could be it was put in wrong, not compacted properly on its way up, and then driven over with a piece of equipment. It could be that the concrete cylinder structure started to move, and when it started to move, it cracked the pipe. But also what's going to happen to make sure things don't happen again, once it's all done, the engineer is going to take some very detailed measurements of the insides of the pipes. And then every 2 or 3 years, those are going to be verified. And if those, because the pipe is round, but once it goes in, it might not be perfectly round, but he'll get the exact shape. If that shape changes, then it'll be addressed. So we'll be monitoring going forward, making sure that it stays as it should.
And I'll just add, because Tom brought me down before all the digging started to kind of show me where the washouts were. No one would have seen them. It wasn't like, it didn't look like this. It
Right.
looked like little chunks, like where dirt had washed away. So if you're a routine user of the trails, and it had brush on it. So like it had foliage growing around and out of these little washouts, you wouldn't have seen them.
Right.
None of you did see them, and our staff didn't see them. So it was very fortuitous that our small investment of $70,000 or $80,000 for the trail has now tripled. Because I'm sure one of these is a money tree. It must be.
Right.
We're searching for the elusive Woodland Pond
Right.
money tree.
Now, I don't understand the big deal. I mean, Cynthia was in the welcome committee. She was our welcome person. And we told her that, I mean, if she has to move, she can come sleep in our living room.
Right. Right.
I mean, it's no big deal.
Right. Right. Right.
That's the kind of community we are, right? Somebody had their hand up.
I'm just wondering, Cynthia, if you're going to have to pay extra for waterfront property.
Good idea.
No, but of course, I will tell you guys this. So Tom comes into my office and he says, we've got a problem back here. We're going to have to dig up some yards. I said, I bet you it's Cynthia's because she's put more time into her flowers. I said, he's going to tell me it's Cynthia's. And sure as hell, it was Cynthia's.
Yeah.
So going forward, Tom, I'm a neighbor and I'm a beneficiary of this work that's
Right.
been done because you took down a couple of trees that were interfering
Right.
with my view. So my question is, what will this hill be replanted or reseeded with? Hopefully something that's slow growth and won't interfere with the views that we've just
Correct.
acquired.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Me and Cynthia,
It'll be reseeded, and exactly what's going to go back, I don't know yet. But we're going to get some input from the engineer. Because he wants to be sure that certain things don't go certain places to maintain the integrity of the pipe. So I don't have a good answer for you right now exactly what's going back, but something has to go back. It will be, the hillside, will be restored. Yes,
thank you.
to include Cynthia's flowers. Mark Eisenhandler did a good job cataloging and inventorying Cynthia's flowers exactly, and we'll make sure that she's as good as new or even a little better.
Tom, the branch trail seems to be complete down to the observation deck. No? Thank you for your answer.
Yeah, that's the official. Yeah, it sort of was. They have a lot of things. They had a lot of things to do. There's still a lot of wood that has to get taken out of there, and also since this came about due to some water flow that probably would have flowed anyway, but flowed a little stronger once the hill got denuded. We are going to be adding some extra culverts to the trail.
Yeah, that actually was one of the things that came up,
Right.
totally separate and aside from this. The trail company designed this based on what they thought the conditions would be. We did end up having a washout of the new trail. Yes. Right by the observation platform. So there were a couple of washouts that happened. So they didn't originally design culverts in a couple of places that now need them on the
Right.
completed part.
Right.
So this is still a work in
And
process.
then once we finish the big dig, then we'll continue on with the rest of the, the rest of the trail project, to go back up by the new cottage and all.
Have you decided yet what kind of fence is going to be put back? Because not only behind Cynthia, but that
Right.
fence is starting
Yeah,
to
we
fall
do need
down.
to, we do need, we needed to do something about the fence before the big dig thing. So yeah, I mean, we are going to be putting some fence back and, my current thought is we're just going to put the same type of fence back. Yeah, yeah. We don't want anything different. No.
Yeah, I think split rail is the way to go.
Yep.
All right, I think that's enough on the big dig. What else do you have on your list, Tom?
Nothing, because everything is going splendidly. Currently the pool, the pool floor, not this weekend, next weekend, we're going to be picking that up. And that pool will be offline for about 6 days. And then we'll open up again. And then 30 to 40 days after that, we'll close it for another week when we apply the epoxy flooring. Yes.
Hold on, you have to use the mic so people can hear you on the TV.
No, right next to you.
Why is the temperature 86 degrees in there that you can't sit on the deck because you can't breathe?
All right, a couple things with the pool, the pool room. When I talk about the pool, I'm going to talk about the water temperature and then the room temperature. All right, the room temperature should be, and my belief is, if you ask me right now, it hovers about 80. If it's not, then we need to adjust that.
The thermostat says 86.
If the thermometer says 86, that's a problem. We had an issue with that unit last week. There was a couple days it wasn't working, but my belief right now is it works. So if it's 86 right now, that's news to me. And it shouldn't be. It should be about 80.
Okay.
But the unit on the roof that does the air conditioning and heating for that room, we're replacing it. That unit on the roof is supposed to heat the water in the pool and the spa. It never did. The water from the pool and the spa doesn't go up to that unit. They're heated by 2 other units in the mechanical room. The unit on the roof is a 16-ton unit, means it has 16 tons of coolant capability. We only need a 10-ton unit. So that unit on the roof, because it's too big, it short cycles. And that's one of the reasons why every October that unit dies and we have to put fans in there. So because of that, because the water isn't plumbed up to it, because of the age of it, because it's R22, the old Freon, we had an engineer come in, do a very extensive study that told us that all of these things. We then authorized that he did a complete set of plans and specs. That's out to bid. Those bids are due back first week of August. And we plan on replacing that unit. On the other side of that, we're going to have a 10-ton unit that's properly sized. It's going to heat the pool water, and it's going to do 2 things. One is it's going to maintain the humidity and the temperature in the pool much more consistently. It is also going to do so with much less electricity use. It's going to drastically take down the electricity use.
What about the temperature in the pool?
The pool water, right now we have that set at about 86. And my belief is to leave that alone. And if there's an issue with the pool water temperature, Fred is from the plant ops committee. He welcomes your input. And at plant ops committee, one of our favorite discussions every month is temperatures of things, because everybody has one singular thought on what a temperature should be.
And I'm coming over to you. Yes, as I just said before, and I'll say it again, it's just like Goldilocks with the temperatures. Too hot, too cold.
I'm wondering when, if ever, the top floor of the north wing hallway will be air conditioned. It hasn't been at all this summer. It wasn't last summer.
Last summer it wasn't. For a majority of this summer, we've had problems, but in the last 2 weeks, my belief is it is.
Well, it's not air conditioned, but it isn't boiling hot.
Right, but for the last 2 weeks, that unit's been working fine. So, but I'll check again, yeah. And when it's 95 out, I don't expect the 5th and 6th floors to be 70. But as of past 2 weeks, the 5th and 6th floors have been comfortable.
They certainly shouldn't be 95,
No.
which would be too hot.
No.
All right. Anything else, Tom? Who's
No,
next?
I could talk more, but I know Rob wants to get up here. So make sure you have a lot of questions about recycling, laundry.
Waste rooms,
Waste rooms.
signs in the waste
Signs,
rooms.
yeah, signs in the waste rooms. Talk to him about that.
Wait, I think Trina, what's your question about? Oh, we don't have an answer on that yet. I mean, right now, nothing can happen on the brush behind the cottages. Yeah.
Let me finish the big dig.
Okay. Yep.
Hi, everyone. I'm Robert Dunn, Director of Environmental Services. If you guys want to put in that Woodland Pond water slide park, now's the time out back. It's a good idea. Open it to the public. It's a good moneymaker. Right down the 4-foot pipe, right into the pond. That'd be fantastic at this time of year. I do want to mention, though, a housekeeper still mentioned, and we know, like as Tom discussed, it's really warm this year. Housekeepers do have to work in these conditions. A lot of you don't like the air conditioners, at a chillier temperature, but we ask, I think we set the temperature at 75 or 76. Thank you. There's still some rooms we go into and it's kind of hot. It's getting to the point where, if it's too hot in your apartment, I have no problem saying that we're not going to do your cleaning that day. Please put the air conditioning on before the housekeeper gets there. Don't turn it on when they get there because that's not going to help by the time they're done. So please do that. Consider that in these hot temperatures that they're working in the same temperature that you're sitting in. So just be courteous of that. And I appreciate all that do that. There's just a select handful that are still not touching their ACs before we get there, but it's going to get to the point where we're not going to do the cleaning. It's too hot to work in there. It's not fair to them. So, all right. Any questions for me? We're moving along with the annuals. If you have any questions on your annuals, please call Carrie. I know she spends an inordinate amount of time calling people. She doesn't get calls back or she'll leave a message. If you think your annual was done around this time last year, please just call her. Even if you're not sure, give us a call and we'll get you scheduled in the next couple of weeks. Okay. She does have openings. Go ahead.
My question is about the little critters. This is mostly for the people who live on the ground floor or live in the cottages. The ants are back and other little critters are back. I guess it's the heat.
It's
that
the
is
heat.
doing it.
We live in the woods. That doesn't help either, especially ground floor is extremely susceptible to certain areas. There's a lot of times where, stairwells, lights are on 24/7 here, so, I mean, if it's your own apartment, obviously address that with concierge in the off hours or call me or Carrie myself and we'll have pest control look at whatever issues you're having. Ground floor apartments tend to have more issues than non-ground floor, just because it's easiest access for them.
The exterminator came once and he said he would be back in a couple of weeks, I believe.
Mhm.
And he never came back.
What is he checking for?
I guess it was ants. Yes, that's right. I had a big invasion of little ants.
Right. The little ants, what you'll find is after we get a heavy rain, they get washed out and flooded out. So we have to look at that. You can't prevent that 100% of the time. It really depends. It really depends on the weather. But what we can do is we can treat the foundation, which will help. And he's here. They're here twice a month. It's every other Monday, twice a month. Usually the first Monday and then the third Monday. If you have an exterminator issue and it's like a severe problem, like you've got 400 bees on your back porch, you call us right now. All right. You call me or you call Carrie, you call concierge. All right. Concierge keeps a pest control book at concierge, and then he reads that log and he goes through that log when he's here. All right. So please call concierge if it's off hours or whatnot. Because if you call me or Carrie, we'll put it in the pest control book. And then we'll make whatever arrangements we need to. Okay. I'll have him follow up with you though, Mrs. Stein. Okay.
Can somebody pass this to Maddie, please?
Rob, can you speak to the question of window cleaning?
Yes. Tom and I kind of worked together this year, which is surprising. Because he's looking and we're also looking into gutter cleaning for the facility. And we did have to change window cleaning companies, unfortunately, this year. So we sourced somebody out that could actually do both together. We planned that. He sent me the proposal this morning, or I emailed him this morning. I'm doing Tom's work on that too. But we asked them sometime in August to get that squared away. Normally we'll do it, after June because of the pollen, but I think with just changing of contractors and, doing the gutters, we needed to coordinate that because we want to make it more affordable. So we're doing it at the same time, not having them come back twice and have it be twice as much. All right. When it comes, and that's the gutters for the main campus. I know Tom will have the cottages addressed separately, I believe. So that'll be done separately on the cottages. Is that your question, Ria? Okay. Like pressure washing, like the outside of the thing? Yeah. I know.
Yeah, I know, but yeah.
I want to talk
You
to
can
him
take a
so
break
much.
and listen to him. I'll answer. The pressure washing of the cottages actually had started, but I stopped it when the big dig started because I want to wait till after that and then go back and pressure wash. Because that's just, I'm just envisioning that some, dust is going to fly up, from the dig. But they already did pressure wash a couple. So they'll start again when we're done.
Sure.
Okay, on the north side of the north wing is the J door on the second floor.
Right.
And the outside of the J door and the siding around it, which is lit 24/7, is consumed with spiders, bug nests, and dreck. And it desperately needs to be cleaned again.
Okay. I'll talk to the guy that's in charge of the grounds guy. All right. Yeah, I think that's Tom. But yeah, we'll have that.
Yeah, but then I'll refer it to the person who's in charge of pest control.
Right. Now, outside that door, at the end of that ramp, we did discover today, a resident pointed out a bee's nest that's in the ground, and we'll have that addressed. That's going down the left side railing at the base of that railing. So we'll address that though. But I put that in the pest control book. Okay. Dave? Or did you go ahead, Michelle? Sorry. Outside the second stairwell of north, which is B, I believe, B stairwell. It's all the way at the base of that stairwell as you go out down the landing. The pole that goes in the ground, there's a hole in the ground, and that's where the bees are just starting. So just go down the right side of that stairwell. Okay.
Have Dave go last.
I'll be quick.
Questions?
I'm Jason Irish, Director of Concierge and Communication Services Up. I will be quick. I've got a couple things. One thing I want to mention tomorrow, August trip sheets are due. There are like 3 or 4 trips that are on the verge of getting canceled because we have low turnout. Maybe it's because we have so many trips this month or next month in August. But if you haven't turned in a trip sheet, turn it in. Again, we don't want to cancel trips, but if we don't get a big enough turnout, it's what we have to do. This has come up a couple times. It actually came up this past weekend. There was someone seen smoking on campus. If you see someone smoking, again, it wasn't a resident, it was a visitor. But if you see someone smoking, notify us right away. We'll try to take care of it. That also goes with anything. If you see anything out of the ordinary, do not hesitate to call the main number. Security is here 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Someone will always answer the call. I know Dave Smith is sitting here, so I'll throw him under, but he saw some people, wandering behind his cottage one night. Also in the last 2 weeks, security had to escort a few people off property walking dogs after hours. So again, if you see something at any hour, please tell us. Don't wait until the next day. Again, we want to try to get to it as soon as possible. This is something I want to talk about. Sarah's not here, but Matt Romer, our fitness instructor, most of you probably know him, or if you don't, he's been here 2 months now. Come down, take his classes. I know his classes are filling up. He does stuff in the pool. He does stuff in the pack. He does one-on-one training in the fitness center. Come down, start getting involved. Matt is, he's very nice, very friendly. He wants to be involved. So please come to a class. The last thing I'll mention, committees. Most committees are taking, most committees know what they're doing, but if you need help with setups, I know I see Joe sitting in front here. If you have a committee that needs help with anything, with your setup, with microphones, with whatever, let me know, let concierge know, and we'll make sure you have what you need. Any questions for me?
Hold on, Dave.
Two things. One, you mentioned security. For the very first time this morning, I'm walking my dog about 7 o'clock. I see 2 uniformed guys walking out of the health center. I didn't know we had uniformed security here. Has that been going on for a while, or have I been asleep for a while?
Well, I mean, they wear a Woodland Pond polo that says security on it.
Boy, it looked more official than that. But anyway, for the first time I saw it. Second thing is, Jason, several people have come to me and come to others about the pedicab, and when might there be more rides available for people?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any information on that? I know that the scheduling was going through you.
Yeah, so we had a good first round, and thanks to Dave for kind of coordinating that. For anyone that went on it, I know I see Halima there too. Halima went on and enjoyed it very much. There was a few residents that really loved it. Wayne's giving a thumbs up in the back. All right, Ronnie Sue. So he had to bring it in for service. I reached out to him last week. I guess there was an issue with the pedicab. He said once it's out of the shop, he's going to let me know, and we're going to get more things scheduled. So yeah, but it's on the trails. It's covered, and they enjoy it. Yeah, it's shaded. When we'll put it in the Chanticleer, when I know that there's an updated schedule, we'll put it in the Chanticleer with updated dates and get that scheduled. Thanks, Dave. Any other questions for me? Perfect. Thank you. Shannon.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shannon Scatoro, the Director of Marketing. I'll be quick too, because I know we're running out of time. I just wanted to say thank you to all the residents that have recently helped out with our resident panel luncheons. We had one in June. We had another last week. We had about 50 people attend both events. So great turnout, great feedback. And we've met with several already. We have lots of people signing up from those events on our wait list already. So thank you all. We also had quite a few of you participate in our virtual tours. We did photo shoots of all the each different apartment style and cottage style. So those will be finalized and updated to our website very soon. So thank you all for that. And just to give you a bit of an idea, because I get asked all the time, why are we advertising? Why are we doing the events? Because our wait lists are so long. We have such a long list because we want to stay full. We've had already this year 24 new people move in, and we're just over halfway through the year, and a dozen more in process waiting for renovations to take place. So staying full is our goal, which is why we still consistently do tours and advertise. We want to keep everyone coming in. So that's all I have. Any questions for me? No? Thank you all.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dave Roberts. I'm the Capital Projects Manager. Just to give you an update on our expansion, we have over the last month been developing the design, so in a little more detail, specifically for the pack and for wellness and dining. And so what that means is really, starting to really talk about the more detailed information that we need to put into these specific uses, and addressing those things, and having listened to feedback and so on to put those things into place in the new design. So it's a little more granular information for all the other spaces within the facility. Some of you will have seen surveyors working around the building. So they're getting very specific information about the elevations around the existing building, especially in places where we're adding on to the building. So we need to know, the grade and so on, so that we can address the stormwater runoff and also address exiting and entering the building, if we need stairs, if we need ramps, all that sort of thing. So that's a really important part of the civil engineering calculations, which of course is part of our application to the planning board. So it's a critical path for that. Part of, getting into more detailed design, we are bringing on some more consultants. And so we have been looking at a food service consultant to advise on equipment and also to address the programming, the new food programming that we're talking about. And we're also, we have a low voltage consultant that we're bringing on board. So anything to do with low voltage, if you think of things like hearing loops within meeting rooms and the PAC, all that sort of thing. So we have a consultant who advises the architects and ourselves on what sort of products are available and, what the issues that can be addressed. We're also looking at acoustic consultants, that's specifically for the PAC, but also, of course, for meeting rooms and dining rooms. We want to, part of the upgrading the design is to make all the spaces as useful and amenable as possible. And, we get, once again, as residents, we get great feedback from you about what works, what doesn't work. And, these are the consultants that can help us address some of the issues that you raise for us. What else? Another part of the, gathering of information is that Tom and I and also Jared and I will be doing some field trips to other facilities that were recently completed, learn from their process, learn from the things that they have done in terms of design and so on, and be able to bring those back and incorporate them into our knowledge and into our final design, so that once again, we're really trying to, make the best possible design that we can. One of the things that's coming up that will affect you is that at the end of this month, on the 31st of this month and 1st of August, we're coordinating with AG, the architects, and the interior architects, MDP, to do focus groups. And these are the focus groups that a lot of you will have signed up for. And AG will be running those in order to get feedback on where we are at the moment, and also, gain as much information from your experience as possible to feed that back into the design process. So if you've signed up for focus groups, definitely, look for an email where we'll be coordinating the focus groups on those days. Thanks. Any questions?
Is the list closed, or can we still sign up for focus groups?
Yeah.
So we had to cap them at 15 people per, but not all of them had 15 people. So we can put in the Chanticleer on Friday which ones still have room, and you could wait list for the other ones if you want to. It won't just be a one and done. This is going to be a first meeting where we have all of the design team there. AG comes in from Milwaukee, MDP comes in from Philly, and then there will be opportunities, obviously follow up. And this is not a first and then we don't do it again, because there's going to be a lot of questions and things that we need to look at. And so the focus of these focus groups at the end of the month is to really talk more about the use of the spaces, not so much the spaces themselves, because the spaces themselves are going to be designed by the design team. They're not going to be designed by residents or by us. That's why we are paying these people the big bucks to design the spaces. What they want to find out from us in all of the meetings we're having with them is, how do these rooms usually get used? What time of day do you guys have meetings? How many people do you need to have in the spaces? What's the ideal? Are you planning on adding more fitness coordinator staff? Because obviously we can't make fitness rooms that are the size of this But we have people that want to take, maybe consecutive classes of the same thing. Do we need more staff? Like they're talking more about operational stuff. So when you go to these focus groups, it'll be to talk about, what's the typical kind of programming, for example, currently that's used in the PAC, like for arts and entertainment, and where do you see it going? So not just what are we doing historically, but ideally, what kind of programming would you like to see in this space? They then take all that feedback and then they present design elements to us to consider. We spent an extensive amount of time on Tuesday with the PAC talking about, the raised platform element. What are the different elements that are going to support all of that? The audiovisual, the storage, the need for an art scope wall or walls in the design, just a variety of things. So it's really to focus on what kinds of activities and operations do you want to see? And then they'll present designs to us in the months to come. Who else has questions for Dave?
When will we see additional conceptual drawings?
Well, yeah, so they're in process at the moment. And I think that I think that next month there'll be, upgraded drawings. We went through some last month. But yeah, I don't really have an answer for you, but we will keep you up to date as the design progresses.
Yeah,
for sure.
Our goal is to have each time there's new drawings to get them to you. And also, Jason, I don't think I had a chance to talk about it, but on your connected living screens, there is a new section on there for, it says renovation. Okay. It's at the bottom of the digital screens and it's somewhere on your app. Our goal, it just literally got completed like a couple weeks ago. We haven't really talked about how much information we're going to put there, but we want you to be able to tap on it and see the latest renderings. We currently don't have any new renderings since we presented to you last time, but one of the things that's working in addition to the PAC right now, obviously they're trying to figure out the way that the dining room is going to be expanded. We've got a variety of options for that in front of us right now. And then they're also actually, because of Tom's suggestion, do you want to tell them what it is or shall I? No, the tilting of the wellness. First he said cigar lounge and I said no. And then he said whiskey lounge or bar and I said no. So Tom had asked the design team, since we're going to be extending the wellness and putting a wellness lounge in addition to more fitness space out here, he had asked if there was a way to move it out a little bit further and tilt it so that the view is of the mountains. So, because there's going to be a fireplace in there and seating in the wellness lounge. It's going to be like a peaceful space, kind of like the lounges at Mohonk in their spa. So Tom, who obviously should just be running Woodland Pond, thought, can we move this a little so that you actually have a direct on view of the mountains? A couple of those like pine tree things are going to have to come down, but so they're looking at things like that. Whatever. They're like bushes.
Yeah, and the nice thing about that is that also presented other opportunities in terms of a courtyard outside for exercise, and also a lot of the support spaces for those uses that are in that addition end up being in a wing adjacent to it. So, as often happens in design, as you develop it, new opportunities arise. And this is a great example. You can end up with a great view, but also there's added amenity, because of that.
Right. And so like, for example, one focus group that we don't have right now necessarily is like the gardening focus group, because we're not there yet, but if we do expand out here, obviously those garden beds are going to have to find a new home. So we're going to want to work with the resident focus group to figure out where should they go? Do we want different ones? Do we like raised ones? Do we like them in a row? So there will be more to come. Who else has questions or comments for Dave? I'll go to Michelle and then I'll come around.
When you first talked about the focus groups, I wasn't really sure which one to sign up for, because I'm really mostly interested in how the designs will affect the art scope
area. So which focus group would that be under?
Yeah, there is a art. I forget the exact name of it, but there is a art group, focus group.
Okay.
So that would be the one.
Okay. All right. Then
Yeah,
I'll probably put
yeah.
my name on that.
And especially as the chair of ArtScope or co-chair of ArtScope, obviously you'll have a critical role in that. So we'll
Absolutely.
circulate how many spots are available on each focus group, if any, and then if it's in a waitlist status. And then definitely contact Dave if you have a dying, real need or desire to be on these initial focus groups. But there's going to be lots of feedback opportunities as well. I saw some other hands. I'll go to Rolf and then I'll go around to Maddie and Jakob.
I have a question about the staging in the new park. Will the staging be permanently raised, or is it going to be hydraulically raised and lowered?
There'll be a stage that's permanently raised, and we're looking at it being 18 inches high at the moment. And we actually, part of the conversation we were having on Tuesday with the design team was for them to provide sightline diagrams for us, so that if you're at the back of the new pack with that distance, what does an 18-inch rise mean in terms of people at the back being able to see, or everyone in the auditorium being able to see. But that is the plan at the moment: 18-inch stage with a ramp up to it so that it's accessible to everybody to get up on the stage, with a place for the piano. So the piano will be on the stage, but with the ability to store it out of sight if it's not being used.
Okay, thank you.
While I'm walking, I'll explain, I was questioning the 18 inches because that seems kind of low to me. But what they were explaining is, because we're not going to have, the ability to pull the seating back so far, if we made it higher, like to a standard stage height, you're going to be craning your neck. And this is what they typically do in communities like this with fixed stages like this. So again, bringing a team together that strictly does senior living has been absolutely instrumental. And again, Tom and Rob, and I think Jared, maybe Tom Gilder, are going to visit some communities to really put their eyeballs on places that have done these exact things. So I saw Maddie's hand. I saw Jakob. I'll go to Deborah.
Has there been progress on the library brouhaha? There's been a good deal of upset about, and a lot of rumors about the library.
Yeah, so the library at the moment is going to remain the same size. And what will change in there is that the doors to the exterior will not go to the outside anymore, because that's where the new pack is. So the pack is being added out there. Now, the main entry to the pack is separate to that. There's a very distinct main entry that has, support amenities such as a coat check and other things. So that will be the main entry. With the library, I've met with the library committee in order to address what works at the moment, what doesn't work, how we can improve the amenity in there at the moment, provide more storage space, that sort of thing, and also talk about the amenities that are used at the moment, and how it can be utilized even more.
Will the floor of the pack be flat or sloped?
It's flat. The floor is flat. Yeah.
And will the chairs be movable or fixed?
No, they're movable. So that so there'll be stackable chairs. And one of the things that we're making sure that can happen is that there's a sufficient storage in the pack so that all those chairs can be cleared out of the space, and out of sight. Yes. Yeah.
David, just for everybody's sake, if you go on the websites of Canterbury Woods, Jefferson's Ferry, Fountain Gate, all CCRCs in New York, they have all been renovated. Fountain Gate just came on. You will see on their websites, particularly Jefferson's Ferry, the upgrades that they did and what the condition of their main entrance, their dining, and some of their common rooms. It's very, very exciting to take a look at that. So if you want to kind of look ahead, take a look at that. And it won't be what we're doing here exactly, but it'll give you good ideas. So you're all excited to see it. It's there.
We can put the names of those into the Chanticleer as well. I'll go to
Yeah.
Yakov and then I'm going to go over to the other side. After Yakov, I'm going to take 2 more comments and then we're going to wrap up.
This is basically related to communications. I mean, you mentioned, I think Jason or just left, that some of the plans are, for instance, posted in Connected Living. The question is, how many residents really use that or have access? And, so the means of communicating, I mean, a lot of the information. Is that just Connected Living? Is there other ways? I understand that sometimes, I mean, people post things on the newsletter and so on. Yeah.
So we've dedicated this meeting for every month to be an update. So most residents either come to the meeting or watch it either on YouTube or online. Everyone has access to the screens because they're in the hallways. And we just upgraded them. So we purchased new screens that are much more touch friendly. So between those 2 things, that will be more of a visual update. So you can see the renderings whenever you want to. And if you're interested in getting the application on your smartphone or on your computer, that's maybe something Terrell can do in one of his classes, but Jason and Concierge have the instructions of how to do that. So anything we post to the screens is also in your handhold. So you could show your family or whatever. But this is extremely accessible to everyone. So, I mean, those are our 2 primary methods right now. And then we'll continue to develop this as time goes on. I'm going to go to Betsy and then Trina, and then we're going to wrap up.
You put those URLs in the Chanticleer for the places Tom mentioned.
I'll give one more after that because I saw your hand up, Joyce.
I was just wondering, at the Studley Theater, it belongs to SUNY. And in that theater, the stage is high and the sound goes right. Sorry. In the Studley Theater, the stage is high and the sound goes over the audience, so that acoustically it's only effective in the back under the balcony. So I'm just concerned that be tested, in our new pack.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we'll have a acoustic consultant on board. I mean, fortunately, our interior architects and architects, as Michelle said, they specialize in these facilities. They've done a lot of packs. And so and also, the pack, it'll hold 200 people, so it's not huge. But the acoustic consultant, I mean, now I know when Studley Theatre was done, it was done old school, the way that they designed that. So now, you basically do an engineered sound study, and you know exactly what the reverberation for every seat in that place is going to be. And that's the sort of study that we'll have, both from our low voltage consultants, but also from our acoustic consultants as well.
Then one other thing, the piano often overwhelms, like the Pondeliers. You can hear more piano because this is not a very big room.
I prefer that we do these specifics in the focus groups, but you can certainly give us our feedback. And one other thing I'll just mention, somebody had asked if we could make a suggestion box somewhere for residents. And obviously we have the rumor mill, but there's a suggestion box right next to the dining hostess station. That's just for dining suggestions. You can put any suggestions that you have in that box and we'll get them. So we'll make that known as well. Joyce, and then we're going to wrap up.
I just wanted to ask, since there's no focus group for the library, Dave has been serving as our focus group leader. And I was wondering if we would have access to an AG representative when we would meet with you.
It's a great question, Joyce. And I think that's what we're coordinating with AG with at the moment. And so we're kind of taking their lead on how they normally organize the focus groups. But, I think it's a good suggestion and we'll certainly follow up with them. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, the chef has shown up. Does the chef have any updates that he would like to share? Not right now. He was put on the spot. All right, we're going to wrap up. I hope you guys all have a good day. We'll see you next month.